Hey everybody, welcome to the Columbus Wired Quick Hit Pregame Preview. I'm Andy Evans, and here we are with game number 5 of the season, where the third-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, who are 4-0 and 1-0 in conference play after a 38-7 win over the Michigan State Spartans last weekend, welcome in the 3-1 Iowa Hawkeyes, who are coming off of a bye, but they are also 1-0 in conference play after a 31-14 win over Minnesota 2 weekends ago. Overall, the Buckeyes convincing in this series, 47 wins against 15 losses and 3 ties. The last game that these two teams played right here in the Horseshoe 2 years ago, and the Buckeyes won convincingly 54-10. However, if you remember that game early on, the Hawkeyes actually drew first blood, and it was off of a scoop and score. They led that game 7-0, but their offense never scored a single point, at least in the end zone. They did get a field goal, hence, once again, the final score was 54-10. The Buckeyes are a 17 to 18-point favorite coming into today. And so what do we know about these Iowa Hawkeyes? Well, offensively, they're pretty much known for running the ball. That's their bread and butter. And they're led by junior Caleb Johnson, who is not only first in the Big Ten, he's second in the country right now with 685 rushing yards, and his 9 touchdowns is tied for third in the country. In fact, this is the third best rushing offense overall in the country, in the Big Ten. They are one of only 3 teams to have over 1,000 rushing yards right now on the year. They aren't really known for the pass. Second least amount of passing yards in the Big Ten, a total of 590 passing yards so far this season, and I apologize for me constantly fixing my hair. I'm just going to let it go, and so it's looking like I'm wearing a wig right now, even though I'm not. It's just I'm getting old. I'm losing my hair. As you see, I have a receding hairline. It's all over the place, so I apologize for that. 6th-year quarterback Cade McNamara, yes, that Cade McNamara of Michigan fame, comes in now his second season with the Hawkeyes. You remember last year he won the starting job, only played 5 games, though, because in the 5th game he had a season-ending injury, but he's back this year, but he's not thrown a whole lot. 62% of his passes complete, 588 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for McNamara. His leading receiver is junior wide receiver Jacob Gill, the Northwestern transfer, who is the only receiver on the team to have over 100 yards receiving for the entire season through 5 games. He leads with 145 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Second leading receiver for the Hawkeyes, last name might sound familiar, senior tight end Luke Lachey. Yes, that Lachey, progeny of the All-American former guard here at Ohio State, an 11-year pro. Jim Lachey, right now Luke, 12 catches, 97 yards. However, he's yet to catch a touchdown this season. We'll see if that comes to fruition today for Luke. Defensively, though, this is where the Hawkeyes have been able to get it done. Very stingy defense. Second best overall in the Big Ten, allowing only 224 yards a game. Their passing defense is formidable. They're 52nd in the country in pass efficiency defense. They got 5 interceptions, 10 sacks, 18 tackles for loss. Not too bad, but really where they've been getting it done is against the run, and that's pretty much been head coach Kirk Ferentz's bread and butter when it comes to defense, right? Stop the run, stop the run, and they have been doing that, folks. Second best in the Big Ten, 4th overall in the country, only allowing 62 yards a game on the ground, and they're one of only 2 teams in the entire FBS, one of only 2 teams in the entire FBS that have not allowed a rushing touchdown, the other being Wisconsin. So 2 Big Ten teams, and Iowa is one of only those 2. So they're one of only 2 teams also in the Big Ten that haven't allowed a rushing touchdown. Pretty darn amazing. Red zone, this is also where the Hawkeyes have been getting it done. Now, their red zone defense has allowed a score 100% of the time. But good luck getting into the red zone in the first place, because they are tops in the country with only 3 trips allowed. But rest assured, if you get in, you're going to score. Just good luck getting there. Some players to watch right now for the Hawkeyes on the defensive side of the ball. Fifth-year linebacker Jay Higgins, who leads the team with 34 tackles and also is tied for the team lead with 2 interceptions. And there's also sixth-year defensive back Jamari Harris, who also has 2 interceptions and leads the team with 5 pass breakups. Now, they're going to have to stop an Ohio State offense that right now leads the Big Ten and is 5th in the entire country at 534 yards a game, and they've been doing it with a great mix. 307 passing yards a game, 227 rushing yards a game. Both of those stats, in fact, the passing yards is 2nd in the Big Ten, 15th in the country, and the rushing yards right now 4th in the Big Ten, but tied for 9th in the country. So the Buckeyes have been able to get it done on both sides of the ball. Of course, Will Howard, the 5th-year senior quarterback, 68% of his passes complete, 1,039 yards. Yeah, 8 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Did throw one of them last weekend against Michigan State. It's kind of a bad pass in double coverage, but that happens. He was all right otherwise. And of course, he's got a plethora of guys to throw to, including, the true phenom freshman, Jeremiah Smith, who leads the team with 364 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. He's 2nd on the team with 19 catches. And then there's the senior, Emeka Egbuka. Mek leads the team with 21 catches. He's 2nd with 362 yards, only 2 yards short of Jeremiah's 364. And Mek's got 2 receiving touchdowns on the year. And, by the way, Jeremiah Smith technically leads the entire team in touchdowns because he also had a 19-yard rush for a touchdown against the Spartans last weekend. So he's got 6 total touchdowns on the year. And, of course, there's the two-headed monster in the backfield, Trey and Quinn, Mr. Judkins, Mr. Henderson. Judd leads the team with 390 yards and 5 rushing scores so far this season. Of course, Trey is 2nd with 276 rushing yards. He's got 4 scores on the year. And here is the deal. We talked about Iowa's red zone defense. Well, here's on the flip side, Ohio State's red zone offense. There's 16 trips to the red zone. It's not mind-blowing. It puts them about middle of the pack as far as the Big Ten is concerned. However, if they get in, they're going to score, and the odds are likely that they are going to score a touchdown because all 16 trips have resulted in a score. 15 of them have been touchdowns for Ohio State. And they're the only team in the Big Ten, and they're tied with 7 other teams nationally to be the only team to have 100% scoring within the red zone. Defensively right now, we've seen the Buckeyes getting it done. Although when you look at their overall stats, they're 6th in the Big Ten right now in total yards allowed, but it's only 242. So the Big Ten is playing some defense right now. If you're only allowing 242 yards a game and that puts you 6th in the conference, then the rest of the conference is playing some pretty darn good defense too. However, when it comes to the run, here could be the big X factor today. Iowa, prolific rushing offense. Ohio State, prolific rushing defense. Right now, they're 3rd in the country are the Buckeyes with only 61 yards allowed on the ground per game. And their red zone defense is just as stout and staunch and stingy as Iowa's red zone defense. Right now, the Buckeyes are 2nd nationally only to Iowa. And ironically, they're tied with Iowa State with only 5 red zone trips allowed. And of those 5 trips allowed, all 3 have been touchdowns, but that 60% is good for 3rd in the country. So, I don't know, take that for what it's worth. I think that's somewhat of a meaningless stat. Ultimately, here is my synopsis. I think that Iowa's front 7 matches up well with Ohio State's offensive line. But if Ohio State can keep the pressure off of Will Howard, something they did phenomenally last weekend in not allowing Michigan State, a team that came into last weekend's game, leading the conference with 15 sacks. They did not allow a single quarterback sack at all last weekend. If they can do that again today, they can keep the pressure off of Will Howard. They can open up holes for the running game. Then I think that Ohio State is going to have a big win. But I think Iowa is good enough, just good enough, to keep up with them throughout at least a good portion of the game. First half, maybe even in the third quarter, but I think Ohio State's horses are just going to be a little bigger, a little stronger, a little faster than what Iowa is able to keep up with. And I like the matchup that Ohio State is going to see as far as Iowa's secondary is concerned. I don't think that Iowa's secondary can necessarily hang with Ohio State's receiving core, but can Iowa's front seven get some pressure on Will Howard and force him into making some bad decisions? We're going to find out. Ultimately, though, it's also going to come to the red zone, ball control, who can maintain the ball the longest and who can get into the other team's red zone and who can score. I think that that is going to be a tough task for both teams today. And for Ohio State to win, I think that the defense may be called upon to put the offense into some shorter field situations. I think that they may have to gain some confidence early on for the defense to put them into a shorter field, let the offense score, and then that way if they're faced with some longer field situations later in the game, hopefully those short field situation scores can help them to a win at about 7:30 this evening. So my final score is Ohio State comes into, if I didn't say this earlier, I apologize for forgetting, but Ohio State is anywhere around a 17, 18-point favorite in this game. I've been one that I've not necessarily been completely on board with Ohio State beating the spread, and there have been two games that they have not. There have been two games that they have. Michigan State, Western Michigan. Ironically, the two Michigans that they played, they beat the spread. Akron and Marshall, they did not. I've got the Buckeyes right at that 18-point margin of victory by final score of 31-13. So there you have it. Once again, I'm Andy Evans. This has been the Columbus Wired Quick Hit pregame preview. Be sure to check me out for the postgame. We're going to have interviews from the coaches and some players after. Let's hope for a big Buckeye win today. Everybody take care until the postgame.